Depending where you've placed your attention over the past year, you may or may not know of the Great Resignation. The Great Resignation is the ongoing trend of employees voluntarily leaving their jobs from spring 2021 to the present time we're in right now. It's really in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and where governments are refusing to increase wages to meet rising living costs and really to offer workers protection. There's a myth that goes around that by the time you get to 40, you should have had it all figured out now, so to change your career is insane. Yet the Great Resignation and my own backstory tell a very different reality of what's possible. So in this video, I'm going to dive into looking at the clarity of what it actually means to quit your job and change career at any age, and if this is resonating with you, what options you actually have. For ease of viewing, here's what we're going to cover. First one is why I quit my job and why that's related to you. The second is, what does working life really look like when you break it down? And the third is a novel way to rethink finding your purpose-led career so you can wake up excited to do the work that you really want to do. The entire mission of this channel is to help you get clarity on your thoughts, feelings, and actions, to stop holding yourself back, to be free, to make the impact that you want in life. So a small thing you do to help this channel is please subscribe, like this video, and please comment to add to the discussion. I'm Richard, and before I start, I want to let you know that you can join me in my free masterclass to learn the proven 7-step process to find clarity with your thoughts, feelings, and actions so you can find freedom in your life. That is still open. So if you want to do that, or if you want to submit your application for the Freedom of Being coaching program, you can click the link below, and at the end of the masterclass, it'll give you instructions on how you can apply. The first thing I want to cover today is why I quit my job and why that's related to you. I want to start by showing an example from one of our Freedom of Being coaching students, and a very typical description of what most people think of their work. And she said about her job, "I feel like I go above and beyond my role, and I'm often patronised and condescended to, making me doubt my abilities, which makes me often wonder why I bother." Sadly, this is not a unique perspective, and many of the people I work with have had some form of similar experience. Simply, they feel stuck in their position despite having a huge drive to make a difference in the world, which leaves them feeling frustrated, feeling trapped because they are unable to express their vision. And the reason for that is either because of the people they work with or work for, or they lack the skills or confidence to really turn it on its head and to express that vision. I can really relate to this. In my previous career, I was a performance coach in Olympic sport for 16 years, and I had my career mapped out and I was progressing through it. I loved much of my career and fully recognised that I was in a privileged position to be able to be supported during the struggle of firstly breaking into that highly competitive area. But as much as I loved being in environments where the extraordinary is part of every single day, and I did have huge fun with the people that I work with, both athletes and support staff, what I found intolerable in the end was the profit-driven focus, really, and all the bureaucracy and all of the kind of red tape that was around that environment. It really dehumanized it for me. Sport is a machine and it's relentless, and this is why there's such a high prevalence of mental health problems, both with the support staff and with athletes. This was typed in an article really well in the Harvard Business Review, where they said one clear takeaway from the mental health and sports movement is that a person's objective success in a particular field does not imply mental health success. Not only that, but being thrust into the leadership spotlight can actually increase pressure, scrutiny, feelings of isolation, and pressure to hold everything together for others during challenging times. Now, if you're interested in this, I've done a video on this previously, all about Simone Biles and how she, I think, perfectly navigated the recent Olympic Games, and you can find that in the description below. Over time, this became too much for me to carry. The long antisocial hours, plus also the very low salary compared to the qualifications and experience needed to get to those roles, just to say that you're working in high performance sport. I tell you my story because I hope it can be motivation with you, as well as the multiple million other stories in the Great Resignation. The Harvard Business Review goes on to continue. Employees between 30 and 45 years old have had the greatest increase in resignation rates, with an average increase of more than 20% between 2020 and 2021. It's possible that many of these mid-level employees may have delayed transitioning out of their roles due to the uncertainty caused by the pandemic, meaning that the boost we've seen over the last several months could be the result of more than a year's worth of pent-up resignations. And of course, many of these workers may have simply reached a breaking point of months and months of high workloads, hiring freezes, and other pressures causing them to rethink their work and life goals. I think this is a sign of a bigger shift in human awareness or human consciousness, however you want to say it. We're no longer happy to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of meaningless pursuits. And at the heart of that, we're craving a connection to each other. And to me, that connection to each other means creating a bigger impact, a more useful impact to help ease suffering. I originally thought that impact had to do with Olympic athletes and helping them achieve medals. But what I now feel impact is helping guide people back to themselves, because that journey was incredibly profound for me. Impact can be as small as uplifting a part of your community, guiding others along their path, or making an individual's life easier to bear. If you're watching this video, then you're driven. You are driven to make an impact. You have that yearning inside of you that you're really desperately seeking to get quenched, to get satisfied. But right now, you probably have that deep sense of frustration because currently you're not able to do that, or you don't know how to do that. You're most likely in a career that's considered highly successful. And so one of your main blocks is summoning the courage to leave that career, that financial stability that you have, and the validation that comes with that position. On to part 2 of today's video, what does working life really look like? In case you don't know or you've forgotten, you will die one day. And that might be something that you push aside, you don't like to think about, at all costs you ignore, or maybe you've already discovered that. Maybe you've given some form of end-of-life care, or someone you know is currently going through their end-of-life process. I say that for a few reasons. Firstly, I want you to just look at this diagram and kind of just map out what a working life looks like. So if you take the average lifespan, you say birth to death, we average between 70 to 90 years. Females 81, men 76. And so during childhood, we're free, we have fun all the time. Play is part of our life. Yet when we begin to work, normally around 20 and normally finishing around 65, of course, this is a generalization based on the general stats that's available. If you see here our working life balance, and you think, most of our life, our 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, and some of our 60s, is spent working. And so there's such a large percentage of our life spent in something that we need to do. And so if we're not happy, we're wasting our life. So planning for our retirement is flat out crazy, if not a con, because you can see that most of our life is within our work. What you do with your life matters, and it matters because you have the power to create the change that you want to see. And I believe that change comes from, first of all, connecting to what truly lights you up. The third part to today's video is a novel way to rethink finding your purpose-led career. More and more of us are seeking to do the work that really makes us come alive. And I see that more and more often. And I really love one perspective from a company called the Happy Startup School, who help entrepreneurs look at their work in a very different way. The first thing they look at is looking at what you do well. So if this is something you're thinking about, if you know you're stuck in a career that you're unhappy with, that you're just miserable turning up to, or it's just not satisfying you, then the first thing to begin to look at is, well, what do you do well? Why are you in that position? Why have you been in the career that you've been in? There's obviously something you do really, really well that's kept you in it. The second thing is, what do people want? What is the bigger picture? What are people craving? I would say one area would be helping people that's what I do, helping people to get clarity on their thoughts, feelings, and actions. And so because people are lost, people are struggling at the moment. And so that's a combination of what I do well and what people want. And in the middle of that is learning to say no. We can overcommit all the time. That's very, very easy to do, in a sense of wanting to do good, but not knowing how to do it effectively. And the third part is, well, what you want to do. What is it that drives you? What is it that lights you up? And so one, can you do that better? Because that's going to serve what the people want. And also, how can you learn to monetize that? And in the middle of that, you'll see that that's where we come alive. That's where that sweet spot of what we're talking about right now. And I will link to the quote by Howard Thurman. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And what does that mean? What does that really mean? To me, that means being compassionate, showing up for people despite having differences, to lead from your heart. It means standing up for what you truly believe in. It means shining that light, walking the walk, being the example that you want to see. And if not now, when? There is more and more division, polarization, inequality going on in the world. I believe that it takes more of us to stand up to show what we really stand for and to stand what we believe in and to help shine that light. So if you're feeling that very physical and emotional pull to make an impact in the world, this is your call to action. Stand up now, step into the unknown to come alive. The world needs us all, and there's no better time to shine your light. Now, this is just one aspect to stepping into your power, to really standing up and standing what you believe in. You know, this is a complex situation, of course. You know, leaving a career, if that's something that you want to do, is multifaceted, and there's many blocks that keep us there, that keep us held back. There is so much to getting clarity in our life, and that's why I've created the free masterclass, which you can find in the description below. You'll learn the step-by-step process with case studies on how this can be used to find clarity in yourself to live the life that you really want to. And you can also apply for the Freedom of Being coaching program by following the guidelines at the end of the masterclass. Please be sure to like this video and to share this video with anyone that you feel can really benefit. Maybe you know someone who this is going to resonate with, that someone's just miserable in their work, or that you know that this is going to offer them a wonderful insight and new perspective. And if you're looking for another video on how to get clarity, you can click the video below, which is going to show you how to figure out what to do if you're lost. Thank you as always for joining me, and I'll see you on another video.